What's up everybody, this is Danny, and today I've teamed up with Windows to show you a $219 laptop. A lot of you have been asking me to cover some budget laptops, so this fit in really perfectly, and this is available right now. It comes preloaded with Windows 10s, so if you're not familiar with that, I'm going to talk about some of the advantages of Windows 10s. So let's just get this thing out of the box. If I can get it out of the box. There we go. Having trouble? Contact Acer first. Remember that. So this looks pretty bare bones, not too much here, just the laptop itself. We'll take a look at that in just a second. Tons of documentation here, not much else here, just an AC power adapter so you can power this thing up. Let's get all this mess out of the way. Okay, so I didn't think it was gonna be built this well for this kind of price. Actually, there's a really nice texture here on the top. It's nice and matte, so it's not gonna catch a whole bunch of fingerprints, so that's nice. Let's go ahead and open the top up. Take the protector off. So all the specs are right here in the front. So for $219, you're gonna get a 14-inch full HD display. You're also going to get a quad-core Celeron up to 2.2 gigahertz. Then you also have Intel HD graphics, 4 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, and 32 gigs of flash storage. And you also get 802.11 AC Wi-Fi. And what's also cool about this is that this display folds all the way down just like that. So that's pretty cool. I can see this laptop being geared towards the education market, where this is a perfect price for that. And the way that the screen folds down, I can see kids being around this, looking at the display, interacting. So this is a really cool hinge mechanism here. Okay, so let me show you what ports come on this thing. And this is very light as well. So it's gonna be really good for travel. It's very compact. So starting with the left side, you have a gigabit Ethernet, you have HDMI, you have USB 3.1, and you also have a full SD card slot, which is nice to expand to 32 gigs of internal storage. And on the opposite side, you have a DC in for your power, then you have two USB 2.0, and then you also have a headphone jack. This thing is pretty thin and light considering it's got a 4,810 milliamp hour battery. It's supposed to be good up to 9 hours of battery life on a single charge. So what I'm gonna do is actually use this thing for the next couple of days and share my experience with you on what it's like using this laptop with Windows 10s. And I'm gonna see what you can do and what you can't do with this thing, since it's not upgradable by any means. So I'm gonna share my experience with you on what it's like using a $219 laptop. Okay, so now that I've been using this laptop for the last couple of days, I can tell you a little bit more about it. But first, let's talk about Windows 10s, because I think a lot of people are confused on what Windows 10s actually is and what it can do and what it can't do. So Windows 10s doesn't make sense everywhere, but it makes sense in budget laptops like this and in the education space. And me being a father of two, I can see why that parents would want to limit what can go on these machines. And basically that's the biggest difference between Windows 10 and Windows 10s. It looks exactly the same. And if you've used Windows 10 before, you're not gonna have any problems at all in Windows 10s because it looks the same. But the biggest difference is that you can only download and install apps from the Microsoft Store. So there are some benefits to this approach, and the biggest benefit here is security. These apps are sandboxed and scanned by Microsoft, so whatever they put on the Windows Store is going to be safe to put on the machine. And you're going to see some performance gains here, especially with cold boot times and wake from sleep. So you're going to see a little bit of performance gain on lower end laptops like this one. There are a few downsides, so if you wanted to casually game and that game is not in the Microsoft Store, you can't just download whatever you want to and start playing it on this, even though this is not made for gaming. But if you wanted to download a specific education app, or if you wanted to download another browser like Chrome, you can't do that until it's on the Microsoft Store. The good news is that the apps that I normally use are here in the Windows Store, so things like Hulu, Netflix, Spotify, the social media apps, they are all here. So if you're just gonna use this as a casual computer, some Word documentation, maybe you're gonna use it for school, or you're just gonna use it for a general computing thing, I don't think you're gonna have a problem with this. But if you need to go outside of that, like maybe do some creative work, then you might run into some problems. But the good thing is, if you do need that, you can upgrade to Windows 10 Pro.
The one thing that I was a little bit hesitant about is using the Microsoft Edge browser as the only browser, because that's all you can use on this right now. But the Microsoft Edge browser has come a long way. It's no longer that laggy and cumbersome experience. It's pretty fast and it's less system resource heavy, so it can help you get great battery life, which this laptop gets, by the way. Good battery life is not quite the 9 hours that they projected, but it depends on your use, so expect anywhere between 6 to 8 hours of battery life, which I think is very acceptable for this price point. So a little bit more about this computer. I've been writing a lot of scripts and doing a lot of Word documentation on this, and it works perfect for that. It's a full-size keyboard. It's got some nice key travel too, so it feels good. I wish there was some backlighting on here, but it is a cheap laptop, so I can see why they skipped out on that. But the build is mostly plastic, so there's gonna be flexes here, especially in the keyboard and on the screen, so be aware of that. But these are all things that you can expect in this price point. The two speakers are at the bottom of the laptop, so they fire down. They actually get louder than you would imagine, but they are pretty tinny, so if you're gonna watch movies, I would probably use the headphone jack. The trackpad is actually a lot more responsive than I thought it would be in this price point, so it's got a decent click. I don't think you'll be disappointed with it. The biggest expectation that you need to lower yourself on is the display if you're gonna buy this laptop. Now, the 14-inch size is very nice. It's nice and spacious. And if you look at it head on, it can look pretty decent, but if you're looking at it from any angle, or if you shift this display even just a little bit, it gets washed out really, really quickly. So you need to be aware of that if you're buying this laptop. So let's talk about the power of this laptop. Even with the Celeron processor, I was able to do daily tasks without a problem. So word processing, playing back videos, even on YouTube, 4K played back just fine. So on daily use, I don't think you're really gonna have a problem with this laptop. You can run games from the Microsoft Store, and some of those run pretty well, but it all depends on the title. The one thing you need to think about is storage, because it only comes with 32 gigabytes of onboard storage, and after Windows updates and some apps, I've already used over half of this. So after you put some games on here, you might go way over that. So I would suggest buying an SD card to put into the SD card slot, and you can buy that pretty cheap. You can probably buy a 128 gig card, 64 gig card to expand that, and then every app that you put on there, you can actually format it to go on that. So that's what I would suggest to do if you're gonna buy this. So that sums up my experience with the $219 laptop. It's actually a better experience than I thought it would be. Its performance was better than I thought it would be. There's a lot of ports on this machine, a lot more than you would expect at this price point, but there are some compromises like the display, the flexible build quality, and things like that. But I think if you set your expectations right for a laptop this price, then this is actually a great deal. And I'm glad to see Windows 10s machines being pushed into these lower end machines, because not everybody can afford a really expensive laptop. So I think these will just continue to get better over time. So let me know if you have any questions about this Acer Aspire 1 laptop with Windows 10s, or if you want me to test a few more things about it. This is just the experience that I had with this laptop and if it's worth buying. If you're interested in picking one up, I'm gonna leave a link down below for you. You never know, it could go even under $219. So if you want more budget laptop coverage on this channel, let me know by hitting that thumbs up button. Subscribe for more videos like this, and I will see you guys in the next one.